Okay, can you check whether if we are live yet?
No.
Okay, think I think we are live now. Can you check on your end?
Yeah, I think we are live now.
Okay. Hey guys, this is Tham and Tuấn, the founders of MindPal. Thank you so much for tuning in to this webinar about building effective AI multi-agent workflows for business with the new version of MindPal V3. And our sincere apologies for the inconvenience for the first few minutes of the webinar. We run into some technical issues that took us a while to get started with the webinar. So thank you a lot for sticking around. And so let me let me begin with sharing a little bit of context about this webinar. So for the past year, we have been building MindPal as a platform for you, business owners, marketers, freelancers, or AI consultant, AI automation consultants to build AI agents and multi-agent workflows to automate business processes. Our platform has been empowering over 2,000 businesses around the world to build internal productivity tools for their business, building lead magnets for their audience, or building paid AI tools to monetize for the customers. And we have been receiving overwhelmingly positive reaction. For that, we are very grateful. But we are taking MindPal to the next level with the new version of MindPal that we have been sharing with you guys in our Facebook group if you are there. So we would like to take this webinar as a chance to share with you a first look into this new version of MindPal, what it is, what's new, what's coming, and our plan for the next steps, so you guys would have a clear picture about what to expect. Now, so we will begin the webinar with a quick sharing by us about the reason why we built V3, why a whole new version upgrade from V2 to V3, as well as what's new. Then we will share with you a live demo of the new app with two concrete examples of how we utilize the new features added in V3. And we will share with you our plan for what's next, as well as having a little Q&A section to answer all your questions about the new version of MindPal. So why V3? You know, as a product-focused team like MindPal, we have been making updates to our product almost every single day. So, our app always keeps getting better and better. However, this isn't like any small improvement added to the app. This is a whole version upgrade, a completely new version. It's not a very drastic change, but it's a fundamental upgrade to our entire system. And I would like to invite my co-founder Tuấn to share more about the reason why we introduced this new version. Can you share, Tuấn?
Yeah, thanks Sam for introducing me. So I think before I share why we have to make a big upgrade to the V3, let's go back to the time when we first released the multi-agent workflow first. And at that time, the idea is it was pretty simple that sometime in a thread, I use one agent, and then after working with the agent for a while, I need to change the agent. And after working with agent for a long time, we realized that there are some processes that involve multiple agents that can be connected in a linear and cascade way. One agent passing the data to next agent to produce some work for you. So that is the idea and the inspiration for building the MindPal workflow in the current working version. And that because it's just a simple idea like that, we were pretty surprised, and then we improved the workflow to serve with the demand. We explore that, design some of the simple process with prompting, people using motivation workflow for a lot of business process, for building automation solution for client across different function in a business, from SEO, content, marketing, customer support, research, financing, accounting, and a lot of other things, and consulting, for example. So by observing a lot of use case from a lot of customer like that, we realize a lot of room for improvements. And there are some of the improvements that we implemented already in our system, like the weekly update you guys may familiar with. But we realized that in the very fundamental level, to make the workflow become even more flexible, so you can customize it further and make it more powerful. So it can not just automate some simple tasks, but automate an entire function of a department. For example, if we want to take the ambitious goal like that, we need to upgrade in the lowest level of the workflow. And there are two things we need to upgrade. The first thing is that we need to upgrade in the way that we allows agent connect with each other. Previously, agent only connect with the other via a linear and cascade way. So you have a linear and strict process, one agent passing a data for the other agent. But agent is a kind of an abstraction as the virtual employee. And when you see how human work, we don't work just by a linear process. A lot of time we work by reflecting and feedback other people work. We work by collaborating. We work by having someone to manage, someone to do. We work by delegating tasks, something like that. And the V3 introduced some of the advanced operation in our workflow to support those kind of operation. And another thing is that there are a lot of things to have the workflow scale and customize better. For example, in the previous workflow builder and the current workflow builder, you cannot have the conditional logic to routing the workflow, and you cannot use a workflow inside another workflow as a subflow, for example. So in this version, we implement all of those things, and also we upgrade the infrastructure in the underlying to make the app smoother and faster. A lot of users trying a new version. The common feedback for me is that the app look a lot of time faster than the current version. Yeah, so that is another upgrade too. So that is the reason why we upgrade. We are serving more and more customer now, and we need to make it more performance and be able to serve a lot of needs and be customizable to every business need, and make it even more powerful, so people can aim to automate even things that they cannot automate before.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. So in other words, for the new version of MindPal, we have made a fundamental upgrade to our entire infrastructure to make everything faster, more reliable, and more performant. But the key update that we made is with the multi-agent workflow builder, right? Now we have a 10x more powerful multi-agent workflow builder that enable more advanced use cases from you. And we will show you shortly what exactly the new multi-agent workflow builder looks like. So, Tuấn, for this new version, as you have shared, we have added multiple new ways to let the AI agents collaborate with each other in a multi-agent workflow on MindPal, right? Can you walk us through these new nodes?
Yeah, so in total, we have 6 new type of node on MindPal, and if we count webhook, we have 7. But webhook, previously we have webhook at the end of the workflow, but now we have webhook at the node. You can configure webhook anything, anywhere in between. But if we count only the thing that totally new, we have 6 totally new type of node. They are, the first thing is evaluator optimizer. We have the human input and the agent node that is similar to the current version. Also, similar to webhook and payment node is pretty similar to the current working version. But we have the evaluator optimizer node where you can have one agent to execute tasks, and then you can configure another agent to give feedback to that agent, and these two agents will iteratively improve the quality of the output until the evaluator agent decide that it meets the requirement. And the second node we add is the loop node, where in the loop node you can extract the list of items in a piece of data and then assign the agent to execute all the items in the list. For example, in some workflow, you can have a workflow for example, for the content production. So you can have a step in the workflow to brainstorm and planning the list of content you want to create this week. And then after you have the list of content like that, you can pass that data to the loop node. And in the loop node, you will have an agent to either to loop through the list of content to produce each content on the idea list generated before. So that is the loop node. And the third node we add is orchestrator worker. And this look quite similar to the loop node, but in the orchestrator worker, you will have two agents. No, one agent and a group of worker agents. So you will have one orchestrator agent, or you can call it manager agent in this node. And the manager agent will receive a task from the workflow. And after it receives a task, it will planning the to-do list to deliver that task. And it will have access to a list of worker agents. And it can assign its appropriate worker agent, which the task is a to-do list to deliver the work for you. So that is the orchestrator worker agent. It may sound quite similar to the loop node, but the main difference is that orchestrator worker, you can have multiple workers in the node, while in the loop node, you only have one agent. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing about what these new agent collaboration nodes are, Tuấn. And I would like to add a little bit more about the reason why we added these nodes and when these nodes would be useful in your case. First, for the evaluator optimizer node, we observed that many use cases with our previous version of MindPal V3, require the ability to force the AI to evaluate the response and iterate on the response until meeting certain requirements. And previously, since our workflow builder is a linear and strict step-by-step process, there's no way for you to force the AI agent to go back to a certain response and keep making as many iterations as needed to get the result it wants. So that's why it's very hard to implement this reflection loop for your AI agent in the first version. So in the second version. So that's why we added this node to MindPal V3 to enable this working mechanism. And this would be extremely useful if you need the AI agent to generate some output for you, especially output that is very sophisticated or require certain set of instructions to be met. For example, if you are writing a research paper or if you are generating a report or an analysis, chances are you will have a set of rules that you want the AI agent to follow. You can pass that rules into the evaluation criteria of this set, and this AI will constantly reflect on its output and check back the evaluation criteria and give feedback so that the executor agent can understand what it can do to improve its response. So that's for the evaluator optimizer node. For the loop node, we observed that in the MindPal V3, there are many use cases where you want to execute one specific thing, but across a list of items generated from a previous step. So for example, if you have a step to brainstorm blog post ideas and you get 3 different blog post ideas, for the next step, you may want your blog post writer agent to write a blog post for each of these 3 ideas. Previously, since we only have a linear workflow builder, you will need to specify exactly the 3 different steps for 3 different ideas, like blog post 1, blog post 2, blog post 3. This is okay, but the problem is that the exact number of items to be processed for each attempt may be different. So for one day, you may have the brainstormer agent to suggest 5 ideas for you that you feel like good enough to proceed. Another day, you may find that the AI agent able to come up with 10 different ideas and all 10 are good. And since the exact number of blog post ideas to execute are not predefined, couldn't be predefined, it wouldn't make sense if you have to specify these notes like fixed notes right from the start. And so with this loop node, you won't have to do so. With this loop node, you just have one single node that will intelligently extract the list of items it will need to process and execute one action across these items for you. And for the orchestrator worker node agent, we added this agent because we learned that there are also many use cases where you know the overall process of doing something, the principle of doing something, but you don't necessarily know the exact steps, the exact task to do, and the exact to-do list may vary depending on the human input given to the workflow at different times. And if that's the case, you can choose the orchestrator worker node, which will depend on the workflow context. It will plan the to-do list based on the guideline that you give, and it will assign the right agents to each of these items in the to-do list to tackle the task for you. So I know this is a lot of information. So I would like to share with you a concrete use case, a concrete multi-agent workflow that utilizes all of these 3 new agent collaboration nodes, so you can see them in action, okay? And the workflow, number one that I'm about to show you is a very familiar use cases. It is used to help you generate and promote a blog post. And let me show you how it could be implemented in the new version of MindPal. So can you guys see my screen of the workflow builder in V3?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, thank you. So this is a blog post generator and promoter workflow that I have built in the new version of MindPal. My overall objective for this workflow is to get the blog post topic from the human, then it will brainstorm the blog post ideas.
I think you need to zoom in.
Okay, I see it. So my overall goal for this workflow is to get the blog post topic from human. Then first it will check the topic relevance because this workflow I intend to build it and share it with my audience. So I cannot control what kind of input people give into this workflow. So that's why I add this gate node to check for topic relevance and force stop the workflow in case the topic is not related to AI, which is the condition I have specified here. But we will get to the gate node in a moment. Now, after the topic is verified to be relevant, I want this workflow to brainstorm blog post ideas for me. Then I will select a blog post idea, and I have a researcher agent to research the blog post idea and get all the references it can find on the internet to back up its writing. Then I want a blog post writer agent to write the blog post for me. But my requirement is that the blog post needs to follow a certain set of requirements. So in this case, I will use the evaluator optimizer node so that it will generate the blog post, but at the same time, it will also reflect on its blog post output and keeps iterating until meeting all of my requirements. Let me show you the setup of this evaluator optimizer the node so you can see it more specifically. In this node, I assign an executor agent, blog post writer, to write a blog post based on the research and the selected blog post idea, as you can see here. Then I also have another agent, blog post evaluator, to evaluate the blog post based on this criteria. So I often have some checklists of what I expect my blog post to adhere to. So I provide that checklist here, and this blog post evaluator will help me evaluate the response of the blog post writer and give feedback to the blog post writer agent so that it can improve the blog post until it meets all of these requirements for me. So some requirements would be something like including a seamless mention of MindPal.io or include no jargons and things like that. You can add more evaluation criteria depending on your use case. Now, after I have my blog post ready, I would like to generate the image illustrations to incorporate inside the blog post too. So I have this loop node to help me generate image illustration prompts. The reason is because in my blog post, I may have different places I could add an image illustration into. So that's why I have this loop node to first extract all the image placeholders in the blog post here that I have just generated in the previous step. Then I have my image illustration prompt creator to create a prompt to generate the image illustration for each of these placeholders. And then I have another loop node this time to turn that prompt inside an actual image. So the reason why I split the prompts and the prompt creation and the image generation steps is that based on my experience, the AI workflow works much better when I split the task to generate the prompt and the task to generate images into different steps. But feel free to adjust this as you see fit. And now, after I have generated all of the illustrations I need for the blog post, I would need the AI workflow to help me with the repurposing of the blog post. So I would want to promote the blog post across different channels. So I want the workflow to take the blog post generated and convert it to different formats so I can take and post on different channels for me. The challenge here is that since this AI workflow is built not for internal use, but for external sharing, I will share this workflow with my audience. I won't know exactly what channels they need to post the blog post on. Some people may want to post their blog post on LinkedIn and Instagram. Some people may want to post the blog post on, let's say, email or Facebook or Twitter instead. So because I don't know what channels they need, I have a human input step here to ask the end user which channels they want to post. And this is a multi-select input, so they can select as many channels as they need. And then I have the orchestrator worker node here to help me repurpose the blog post for the selected channels. The reason why I use orchestrator worker node for this specific step is because the selected channels are not predefined, right? The selected channels in this case depend on the selection of the end user, and I don't know that beforehand. So what I did is that I have an orchestrator agent, my repurposing master, to orchestrate the repurposing of the blog post for the selected channels here for me. And I give this orchestrator agent access to 5 worker agents corresponding to the 5 channels in this channels to post step: Twitter, LinkedIn, marketing, email, Facebook, and Instagram. And what this node does is that it will only plan the to-do list that of the to-do list of the post it needs to write based on the selected channels only. So if the user select Twitter and email, it will only call the Twitter post creator and marketing email writer to write these 2 items. If the user select all 5 channels, it will call all of these 5 agents to write 5 posts for me. So that's the flexibility of the blog post of the orchestrator worker node here. So as you can see in this workflow, I have utilized both the evaluator optimizer node for the step of writing a blog post, which I needed to constantly reflect on its output and make sure its output follow my like blog post quality checklist here. Then I also use the loop node to help me generate the images because I don't know exactly how many images I would need to generate. It would be flexible based on the content of the blog post. And then I have the orchestrator worker node to help me with the repurposing of the blog post by asking the user which channels they want to repurpose. And this orchestrator agent will summon the right agents and only write the post that are needed. And it won't write like more than that or less than that. So with the setup in place, let me try running this AI workflow so that you can see how it works. Let's say I can put something like the blog topic could be something like AI for blog post content, and continue. And I can start this workflow. First, it will check for topic relevance, which is confirmed to be directly related to AI, passing the checklist, the condition. So it moves on to brainstorm blog post ideas here. And then I can select an idea to write a blog post. I will select this, and then it will continue with researching the blog post. And in this case, it uses the tool Tabily Web Search. I have assigned to this online researcher agent. And you can actually see the specific how it uses the tool. So this is the query it used to research, and this is the raw result. And then this is the research summary by the AI agent with all the references needed. And then it moved on to write the blog post. As you can see here, it starts one iteration here. And then the blog post evaluator is evaluating the first iteration response, and its decision is that this response failed the evaluation criteria, and this is the specific blog post. Like it doesn't mention MindPal.io. It still includes some jargons and things like that. So this node automatically created a new iteration 2, to improve the blog post content based on the feedback of iteration 1. And okay, and for the iteration 2, looks like the blog post still doesn't meet all of the requirements. So that's why it continue with iteration 3. Hopefully this time it will remember to follow all of the requirements. Okay. Looks like it still failed. So it has some requirements, as you can see here. So for example, in this case, it does include a mention of MindPal.io now, but it does not explain its uniqueness. So there are still there is progress, but there are still things that it could improve. So that's why it keeps going to the next iteration here. So if you want to avoid this evaluator optimizer node to fall into an infinite loop, you can actually specify the max iterations for this step in the workflow builder. And okay, great news, the iteration 5 response has passed all of the evaluation criteria, and that's why it moves on to the next step, generate image illustration prompts. So it extracts the places that it can generate an image for, and then it suggests the prompt that I can use to generate the image.
Can you scroll up to have a see the placeholder in the blog post generated to have people see?
Yes. Yeah. So as you can see here, so this is the blog post generated in the previous step, and you can see that this blog post actually includes some image placeholders here across throughout the blog post. And this is because I added this instruction inside the blog post writer agent. I want my blog post to include images, so I asked it to include these image placeholders whenever appropriate, so that it can pass on to my next agent to generate the images for.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So we have this loop node to generate all five images here, and then I have the generate images loop to loop through each prompt and generate the image using OpenAI image generation DALL-E 3. So these are the images here, and it will continue to fulfill all of these five image illustration prompts. And these you can actually customize the styling and everything of this image inside the prompt too. So just make sure you teach your prompt creator agent to add certain instructions like specifying the style that you want. Is it minimalist? Is it modern? Is it dreamy or something like that? So that it remember the guidelines, and it will pass that guidelines into DALL-E 3 to generate the exact images that you are looking for. Okay, now as you can see, this loop node has helped me generate all five images that I need, and it's very flexible. If my blog post needs five images like this, it will create five images. But if my other blog post need just three images, it will generate three images. So the flexibility of this loop node makes sure that you will only generate the content, the output that you need. Okay, after I have all my images ready like this, I can go on to the next step, repurposing. And in this step, I will first specify which channels I want to post on. Let's say I can say LinkedIn, Twitter, and email. And then when I continue, my repurposing master agent will planning the tasks to do, as you can see here. So it will create Twitter posts, LinkedIn, and email, and it will also auto assign each task to the right agent too. For the task create Twitter post, it assigned it to Twitter post creator, as you can see here. The LinkedIn post to LinkedIn post creator, and marketing email to marketing email writer. And each of these writers agents have already been trained on my brand voice in the form of the brand voice section inside the agent settings. So you can make sure the AI agent to follow the exact brand voice that you want when generating these content.
Yeah.
And
there's a small section called task detail. Could you open and share more about that?
Yeah. So the task details here is the instruction the blog post called repurposing master give to the worker agent to generate the response. So as you recall from my workflow builder, I don't have the specific instructions for each of the worker agents. But the blog post repurposing master agent here, it actually generates the prompt to give to the worker agent to execute the task. And these prompts are very flexible based on the context of the workflow. So it will make sure that the worker agent can generate a relevant, meaningful response.
Yeah.
And just like that, within minutes, we have an end-to-end blog post generation and promotion output, as you can see here, going all the way from brainstorming to researching to writing to image illustration generation and even repurposing. So would you like to share anything, any thoughts here before we move on? Tuấn?
Yeah. So I think the loop node and the orchestrator node is really the very game changer thing here. So because beside the workflow you share here, where you can have a node to orchestrate the list of agent to produce social media content on demand or generate image on demand that fit with the blog post. I have seen the workflow built in the new version, utilizing the orchestrator worker node to build a lot of crazy things. For example, we can use the loop node to create the entire book textbook with with a workflow, or we can use the orchestrator worker to build the entire marketing campaign within a workflow. It is literally the entire campaign. Or I had a workflow to analyzing the content gap, providing the sitemap of the website and the competitor website. There will be an agent analyzing the sitemap and list all the gap in the content and put all the gap into the loop node to produce all the blog posts, SEO with the with the evaluator optimizer to refine it, and then sending the result to webhook to post on our CMS automatically. And it's like 10 or 20 hours, I think even 50 hours of work of doing that by a normal agency being automated by, I think, 5 minutes on this new workflow. So it's very, very crazy.
Yeah, I agree too. And the reason why I also like using loop and orchestrator worker node a lot is because it's so elegant. Like it's just one single node, and yet it's able to do so many things flexibly within that node. So yeah, so yes, you guys definitely should try these nodes and see how and see how these nodes can enable more use cases for your business. Now, let us continue. We have covered 3 new agent working nodes that we have added to the new workflow builder on MindPal, but we still have 3 more nodes that we haven't shared yet. And these 3 nodes are the flow control nodes, including subflow, router, and gate. So Tuấn, can you quickly walk us through what these new nodes are?
Yeah, I think you already demoed the gate. So the gate is using, because so there's a common concern when we use this workflow is that how many AI credit we will consume and what is the cost of the API here. So, and there will be a lot of cases when we have, for example, 100-step workflow, and we don't want someone stupid to abuse our workflow. So the gate is a kind of qualification here to hot stop the workflow when the input is not qualified enough or the generation is not fit with our demand. So it will hot stop the workflow. So it will avoid you wasting the AI credit on something not appropriate with the purpose of the workflow. And the router is the node that you haven't shared that, but the router is that with the router you can build a conditional logic on MindPal. For example, there will be a workflow for doing, for example, doing customer support, and the input for the workflow is the query from the customer and the additional information about the customer support query. But the problem is that we have multiple type of customer support query. There are the customer support query about billing, and there are customer support query about the product, and the query about updating something or help me recover the data. So the router will help the workflow be route to the right path to process the data from the customer. That is the router. And the final thing here is the subflow. And the subflow, I think in overall is the most exciting thing for me up to now, because subflow is the type of node that allows you to use a workflow inside another workflow. And is it not possible with the previous version of MindPal? But the thing with subflow is that when you build a pretty scalable system to automate everything, it will be pretty complicated to like putting all the agent in a single workflow. I have seen people building the record for me is that I seen people building a workflow with nearly 200 steps, and it's going to be crazy to do that, and it's going to be pretty time consuming. So subflow is a thing that helps you. For example, you can decompose 200 steps into 5 components. Each component contain 40 steps, and you can use that subflow across many workflows. So it will be pretty scalable when we want to build a more scalable system, and we abstract that way. It's like we use module in when we programming, something like that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Let me quickly recap what these new nodes are and when they can be useful for your business. First, for the subflow, you can definitely use it in case you want to use another workflow inside an existing workflow, which could be useful for different reasons, for different cases. One case is like Tony just said, if you have a gigantic workflow, you can decompose your workflow into multiple giant workflows, right? And it will make the workflow more manageable for you as a builder and for the user too. And the second case where this could be useful is when you may have a specific process that is repeated across multiple workflows. So, for example, for me specifically, I often have a process to repurpose a piece of content into different formats, and the steps are exactly the same, like repurpose it to LinkedIn, to Twitter, to email, to short video, for example, because these are the channels that we always post on. So for that repurposing process, for me, it's always the same. But I need that repurposing process for different workflows. So I have a workflow to generate a blog post, and then repurposing that blog post. And I will need the repurposing process for that workflow. And then I have another workflow to generate the YouTube video script, for example. I will also need the repurposing process for this workflow. And then maybe I will have another workflow to, let's say, convert a webinar recording like this into different formats to post on different channels too. I will also need the repurposing process in this case. So because the repurposing process, the 4-step workflow that I use are the same across these 4 different workflows. I instead of having to repeating this repurposing process for every single workflow, what I can do is that I can build a dedicated, a separate repurposing workflow, and then add that one repurposing workflow as a subflow into each of the content generation workflows that I have, and then it would be much easier for me to manage, because if I have anything, if I want to update the repurposing process, I would just go to one repurposing workflow, and then maybe I will have another workflow to generate a blog post, and then repurpose that blog post into different one workflow only to update and not having to go through each of these workflows. So, and another case that I found people using the subflow for, which I find pretty interesting, is to use the subflow as some sort of navigation for the user. Because when you build the AI workflows inside MindPal, you may have a set of different workflows to share with others, and you these workflows, instead of sharing them as separate links, what you can do is that you can actually merge them all into one big workflow, and depending on the query of the user, you can categorize that query and route it to the right workflow to process the query of the user. So it would be useful for that case too. So in case you have like 10 different workflows to share with the user, the user may find it hard to decide which workflow to use. So you can let the router to help route them to the correct workflow, and that's where you can use the subflow for. So the subflow is very interesting. And then the router is pretty straightforward. It's conditional logic, so you can define different paths, and you can have different ways to process the input based on some routing logic here. And then we also have the gate, which I already showed you in the first workflow. So let me show you another example of a second workflow I built with the new version of MindPal that utilizes all of these three workflow control nodes: subflow, router, and gate. And this workflow is web page audit generator, which I will show with you right now. Let me quickly bring it up here. Okay, so can you see my workflow builder for the web page audit generator workflow?
Yeah.
Okay, so this workflow is simpler than the first workflow, but it's very powerful. So one common use case that I have seen a lot of people do with MindPal is to build a feedback, an AI-enabled feedback system for websites. The process is something like this. You can share this workflow with other people. They provide their website details like screenshots or links, and then you provide them AI generated but very comprehensive and actionable feedback to improve their website. Now the problem here is that there may be different types of web pages, and each type require a different way to audit the web page. For example, I take two common types of web pages as an example. In this case, e-commerce product page and landing page here, and these types serve different purposes. So the way we evaluate them would be very different too. So that's why what I did is that I have this router node here to decide the category of the web page and route it to the right workflow to audit that product, that page. So if it's an e-commerce product page, it will route it to the e-commerce product page audit generator here. This is a workflow that I have built let me quickly fix this, I think. Yeah. And then if it's a landing page, it will route it to the landing page audit generator, which is another workflow I have built specialized to audit landing pages. I can show you what these two workflows look like. So let me quickly bring them up. So for the e-commerce product page audit generator here, I will audit the product information, visual elements, call to action, trade signals, SEO, etc. All of the insights relevant to the context of an e-commerce business. But on the other hand, for a landing page, I would give feedback on design, copywriting, storytelling, SEO, and then compiling the recommendations. So as you can see here, the aspects of auditing are different for these two different types. So I build two different workflows, and then I add both workflows into this workflow in the form of a subflow, so that the right workflow can help audit the web page provided to the workflow by the user. And the way this subflow is set up is that you can just select a workflow to run here, select any workflow that you want, then you can preview the initial human input fields needed for the workflow. So for example, in the landing page audit generator workflow, the human input fields needed to trigger this workflow include the page screenshot and page URL. So in this preview initial human input fields, for the page screenshot, I pass the input web page details, web page screenshot input from the first step of this big workflow, this parent workflow. And for the page URL, I pass it the web page URL input from the first step of the parent workflow too. So essentially, you map the data of the parent workflow into the human input of the child workflow to trigger the child workflow to run. Let me try running this workflow so you can see exactly how it plays out. I can click new run and add a web page screenshot here. Let me start with for example, the MindPal website. I can share MindPal link here. And then let's continue. Okay, so we have the validation gate first, which will make sure the screenshot is valid. So it's an actual screenshot of a website, and it belongs to the categories that we support. In this case, it is landing page. So it continues the workflow and it routed to the correct path, landing page audit here. And it has already previewed the human input, so I don't have to enter them again. I will just click continue. And this landing page audit workflow, it will follow the steps that I have specified, including analyzing the design here, design and suggestions for improvements for design, and then it moves on to copywriting and then storytelling, SEO, etc., and more, until it finishes all of the steps specified in the landing page audit generator workflow, child workflow. So yeah, so now it will keep executing the child workflow, as you can see here. It continue with storytelling, auditing, and then SEO. And then it will compile all of the recommendations here. So that the user can get all of the actionable items they can do to improve their landing page. And now the workflow is complete. So as you can see, with just 4 steps, now this workflow is able to validate the requests, categorize the request, and route it to the correct subflow, the landing page audit subflow, to perform the comprehensive landing page audit here. And if I try this web page generator again here, but with the screenshot of an e-commerce website instead. Okay, I don't have a real e-commerce site, so I will just give this link, this generic link as a sample input. Then if I provide this e-commerce product page, instead, it will validate the request first here and make sure this is a valid screenshot of an e-commerce product page. And then it routes me to the e-commerce product page audit, as you can see here, instead of the landing page audit generator in the first attempt. And then I can start the Jai workflow, and now it will follow the process of the e-commerce product page audit generator workflow instead. So it audits product information, trust signals, call to action, and other things that are relevant to e-commerce, not landing page. So this is the feedback for the product information of the e-commerce product page, then visual elements and more. And then it will keep executing the Jai workflow until it finishes all the steps needed for this Jai workflow. Okay, after the visual elements, it continue with auditing the call to action. Yeah, and it will continue until meeting all of the steps here. And you can even try this again, this time with an invalid screenshot image, like an image, like a selfie image, or a random image you found online, and you will find that the workflow will stop and not executing the rest of the steps because the request is not valid. So it will, when you share this workflow out as a lead magnet or as a tool for other people to use, you can avoid abuse. You can make sure that this workflow only execute when the input is qualified. So now, as you can see, it continues with evaluating the trust signals and then SEO. So Tuấn, do you have any other thoughts or comments for this workflow?
Yeah, I think this workflow describe I think it's describe the way I think the subflow will be used. And I think in this case we have the the subflow of multiple type of landing page we want to roast it, and we can combine all of them into a single workflow like this to routing and to provide a better output quality later for the end user. But I think the potential of the subflow things could be even higher, especially when because I'm actually a pretty heavy MindPal user to be start using it, and uh, we have the content production system, and we have the accounting work we need to do each month. We have the engineering work and the product planning and coding we need to use every day. And all of those work we have around 6 or 7 workflow we use for marketing. We have 2 or 3 workflow using for accounting and finance, and I even have some more workflow using for products and research stuff. But my struggle every time I use in the current version is that I need to always switch the context and the tab between multiple tabs and transferring the data, copy and paste the data to use the workflow. And but it is not automated for me, and the subflow things will enable us to build even greater and great system. And I'm not sure how the future will evolve, but I hope that by subflow feature we can finally at some point we can automate an entire function, and we can make the video something like how I can build my marketing department with MindPal. We have blog post production workflow, YouTube transcript production workflow, social media workflow, SEO workflow, and the thing we need to do is just input the idea. We even have the idea analysis workflow, and the thing we need to do is money that click the button, some idea will be generated. Some orchestrator worker will routing to the right agent. The agent routing to the subflow. So it will continue produce things like that in I think about 10 minutes. We had everything ready for us to post and to post content for a month.
Yes, I like that. When I think about the subflow, I always think about like the possibility of true AI system. Before this new version of MyPal, we have multi-agent workflows yet, but these multi-agent workflows, when stand alone, they are more like an individual process. But when we put multiple processes together into one interface like this, it is like an entire system of multiple AI agents working together in different processes, and those processes can actually like collaborate and integrate seamlessly with each other too. And that's really powerful, I believe.
Yeah, I think each workflow is a kind of an assembly line, and in the current version, you can build each individual assembly line, but in this version, you can use a whole factory with a lot of assembly line working together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I already feel a lot of excitement from the audience now. And one big question they have is when will V3 be released and live for us to use? So Tuấn, can you share more about our next steps?
Yeah. So we already released this version on the link beta.getmypal.com, and you just need to sign up in this link to try the new version. However, the thing to note here is that we deploy the current beta version in the separate server with the current main MyPal. So you will need to sign up a new account again. And when you go into the beta version, if you are a paid user, the plan will not reflect as the plan you are on the main MindPal. And but you will have 500 AI credit to try, and we think that is reasonable number of AI credit for you to try the new version. And if anyone wants to have the higher limit of using, just contact us via email or just DM me. So I will increase the limit for you. So you can try with kind of more harder workflow. And uh, and the reason why we still separate the server is that we want to make sure the V3 version will work perfectly for you guys. We have a lot of workflow. We have a lot of agent. We have a lot of chatbot already deployed in a lot of website or a lot of people using workflow for their audience. And we just want to make sure everything works perfectly before we can deploy it. So we will try to observe the behavior of this new version on this beta link. And when we feel confident about the performance and we fix all the report, but we will migrate all the data from the current version V3 to V3 by the end of second week of February. So it means the next week we will migrate all the data for you, and it will be automatically migrate for you. One day you sign into my account and you will see everything become the V3. So that is the plan we are having for now.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yes, so you guys, if you would like to try out all of these notes yourself, please go to beta.getmypower.com and try building the AI workflows with the 6 new notes that we have added. And if you have any feedback, suggestions, or encounter any bugs or issues, feel free to let us know either in our Facebook group or to our support email at support@mypower.io so that we can improve the version. So this version, though it is in beta, it actually has we have actually been testing this version for many people already. So it's fully featured and it's working quite well already now. For now, we are in the last phase for our upgrade, where we want to bring this beta version to more people, so we can make sure this version works perfectly before we make it an official upgrade to the current version of MindPal.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we can start answering some questions from the audience, right?
Yeah, we have some question on YouTube here. So I think I will read out the question and we will answer each of them.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a first question. Do we need to create the agent before creating the workflow in the new version?
So you don't have to. And the reason is because there are 2 reasons for that. One is by default, we have an option for you to for you to auto create the agents with AI. So when you generate an AI workflow on MindPal and you leave all of the AI agent fields blank, we will auto create a specialized agent for each step for you. So you don't have to create the agents manually for every single step. And the second reason here is you can also have the option to leave the agent field entirely empty too. because we make the agent fields optional in this new version for some steps that are like general tasks and don't necessarily need a specialized agent. You can actually not have to assign any agent to that step. So it will help you to like keep your AI agent library leaner and more manageable.
Yeah. And we have the second question is the concern about the cost of the API to run all this workflow. Yeah.
We totally understand that. For this new version, we will add more transparent AI credit consumption reports per workflow and also per workflow run, so you can better keep track of your AI credit consumption. At the same time, we also support multiple configuration options that prevent the abuse or the over consumption of AI credits. For example, in the loop node, you can specify the maximum number of items to process, or in the evaluator optimizer node, you can specify the max iterations for the AI agent to do. So that makes sure the AI agent don't go over a specific AI credit budget that you have. And we think that these settings will help you to manage your AI credit consumption better.
Yeah. And we have another question about will we have all of these sample workflow as a template in the new version?
Yeah, yes, of course. We will. Right now, we have added a couple of templates, AI workflows, into the new version. But we will be we will be adding a lot more templates in the days to come. So stay tuned, and you can check out beta.getmava.com for all the templates available. And if you want, you can also request a template too. Just let us know and we will help you set up that workflow and publish it as a template for you to duplicate it in one click.
Yeah, and another question about in the new version, is there any way to quickly compare the output of a workflow step when we use different large language model? So we can select the best model for in that agent in that step.
That's a great question. Right now, that feature is not supported yet, but we have that feature in plan. So essentially, for this new version, we will add an ability for you to regenerate a response with a different model. So you don't have to go to the agent setup or the workflow setup to change the model directly. You can just click the regenerate button of a workflow step, select a different model, and you can regenerate that output step with a different model easily. It's not available yet, but we will our plan is to add it before the official mass upgrade of MindPal V3.
Yeah. There's a question about the release date. I think we already answered that question. Another question is that in the router node, can the option be displayed as a checkbox option rather than needing to copy paste the text option to use? I think it is the question about not just the router node, but I think in the human input node, when we configure the human input field to be multi-select, and compared with the manually text box input?
Yeah, so if I understand this question correctly, so for the human input step, in one of the workflows I have shown previously, the blog post generator workflow, we have a step to brainstorm the blog post ideas, and then we have a human step to select one blog post idea to proceed. And in that example, I think I have copied and pasted the idea from the agent step to the human step, right? And
Yeah,
I think the question here is there any way we can automate this? So instead of I having to copy and paste, I can like
yeah, I think it's like somehow we can have the human input to magically display the option and we click that option.
So that's an interesting question. We haven't figured out a way to implement this yet, but I think we will figure it out soon. Right now, there's not a way to magically populate the select options of a select field based on the output of a previous step yet. But we will look into that and figure out a way to implement this feature. But for now, the good news is that for this new version of MindPal, you get to have more types of human input too. So in the previous version of MindPal, you only have text, file, URL, and images. This time you will have other types like select or multi-select or number or even like multiple URLs and multiple files too.
Yeah. Another question about just a curious question, are you using any AI agent orchestration engine behind the platform, something like Crew AI, or we build it ourselves?
Actually, we build all of this ourselves.
Yeah.
And yeah, the reason is because, you know, AI agent and multi-agent workflow is so new that there isn't any like consensus on any consensus on how they should be built or any reliable frameworks or libraries that we can use out of the box yet. And because we have our own ideas and our own beliefs and on how these nodes should be executed, we decided to build the entire system ourselves, so we have more control over the system and we can innovate on it and we can improve it and adjust it in any direction that we see fit without relying on an external platform.
Yeah. So we build MindPal as a platform. So a platform means that you can build your own product, your own workflow, and customize perfectly for the business need. So we decide to build every kind of engine ourselves. It is a lot of more challenging when we build everything from scratch, but it's able to control everything we want in the platform, and it's also a lot of fun in that process too. Yeah. So there's another question about if I use API on MindPal, will MindPal use all my credit first, and after the credit is used, MindPal will use my API key for the additional? I think the quick answer is yes. In MindPal plans, in all the MindPal plans, you can bring your own API key. So when you running the AI credit on MindPal, the system will routing to your API key to continue to proceed with the agent or workflow. Another question is that how MindPal compare to SEO, how MindPal compare SEO blog post output to service like Zim Writer, or does it replace SEO blog post writing tools like for example Zim Writer?
The answer is that we are not direct competitors or direct like substitution options to these SEO writer tools because we are like a general AI agent and multi-agent workflow builder, and you can get to build any AI agents and workflows you want. It could be SEO writing like this, or it could be something else. Like so many of our customers have been building all sorts of AI tools for their team and their clients, from sales call analyzer to landing page audit generator, as you can see here, or webinar recap generator, and many more. And it's not limited to SEO only. But I think the key value that MindPal can give when it comes to automating SEO processes is that you can tailor the workflow to work exactly the way your business needs. So instead of sticking to a generic or template of writing these blog posts, for example, you can build an AI workflow that understands the nuances of your business and can actually generate a blog post that is relevant and meaningful and unique to your business only. So, for example, I have seen many cases where the process like generating a blog post, it sounds very simple, but in practice, when it comes to different businesses, businesses have different requirements and context, so they have different process to generate a blog post too. So when the business owners build an AI workflow on MindPal to generate a blog post, it's actually very different from one business to another. Some businesses would require heavy research. It would need the AI agent to research across different resources to generate a highly technical content. For example, some other businesses would need the blog post to follow a different structure, like it would need to incorporate different elements or different styles and things like that. So the exact steps needed to generate a blog post is very different. And with MindPal, you have the freedom to customize the AI workflow to work the way that you at your business typically work without having to stick to like a generic process.
Yeah. I think content creation process in Zero and SEO blog post process in specific is a kind of process. We have 1,000 ways to do it, and each business have its own, like you said. So the way the MindPal system offers you is that we are a platform, so you can building your own SEO production machine unique to the need from you. Yeah. So we have a list of another question, and I think we are a little bit running out of time here. So I will try to be quick. So there's another question about does MindPal know what AI model so you in a workflow, or must I select the AI model? So let me answer this question for quickly. So you can configure the large language model in the agent in that step in the workflow. So we provide model from OpenAI, Anthropic, DeepSeek, Together AI, Llama, and every kind of model. And the good news is that in the new version, we have upgraded our infrastructure to support even more provider and models. So now we will literally support every possible provider and possible model that we have on this planet about LLM. So you will have the freedom to choose which model you want to use. And in the case that you forget to select the model, the system will automatically select GPT-4o mini as a default model for now. We may change the default model in the future, but for now, we found that GPT-4o is the best model when we consider many aspects like the cost, the performance, and the reliability. There's a question about any plan to integrate with open source LLM or using local LLM like Ollama in MindPal. Let me answer this question too. So you can integrate with open source models on MindPal by using Together AI. We support model from Together AI or AWS Bedrock is another provider we support too. So you can select any model from this provider. And in the future, we will support more GPU provider that have deployed open source model like Replicate or Runpod or any provider that we can support too. But the problem with local large language model will be a little bit more tricky. So technically, we are a web platform, and to connect with the local large language model, you will need to deploy a local LLM server on the machine, and you connect that server to MindPal. And that process is a little bit tricky for us to control the reliability of the system, because normally a model, for example, DeepSeek one is a 600 billion parameter model, or Llama 3, the biggest model is 400 billion parameter model. And for example, when I run it on our machine, we have the latest MacBook machine and laptop, and it's still quite slow when we run on our local machine. And the local machine is not robust and reliable as a cloud provider, except when you have a very big booster in the home. So that is the reliability issue that we are still hesitate to deploy the local LM support here. So we may need to figure out some of the solution to kind of support this issue, or we may limit the local LM to some of these only small model, for example. But we have a plan for it for the short answer, but we are facing some of the challenge when we want to deploy this feature in the real world scenario. There's another question. Can a rate or validation node call an external REST API to perform the validation?
Actually, that's a very interesting use case. I haven't thought of it and I haven't tried it yet, but I believe it should be possible, because in MindPal you can assign an agent to execute that gate validation node, and you can connect that agent to a tool for that too. So that tool could be in the form of an API request. So you can have some validation logic that require the tool, and the workflow should only pass if the output from the tool meets a certain requirements from you. So I think it may be interesting and very useful for cases where we want to validate the user payment status, for example, before continuing, or validate that the user belong to a membership or something like that before we continue. So yeah, I will try that. You can also try that yourself at beta.getmypal.com to see if it works the way you want.
Yeah, and I think that is the last question we have in the live stream here.
Yeah, thank you so much for you all for sticking around and listening to us sharing about the new version of MindPal. We are also very, very excited, and we can't wait to get this version out there to the official site, so all of you can enjoy all of the new improvements in this new version. But for now, make sure you go to beta.getmypal.com to try the new version now and share with us your feedback in our Facebook group or our support email. And you can expect this V3 to be officially available on brain.mypal.space, the official domain of MindPal app, by the second week of February. And you don't have to do anything for now, so don't worry. You can keep working with your AI agents in the current version of MindPal as usual. And you now have another site to try MindPal V3 independently from your official workspace. And when we officially do the mass upgrade, we will make sure to inform all of you across all of our communication channels, emails, web app, etc. So you can know and be prepared for that. But you don't have to do anything. So don't worry. Yeah. And I guess that's a wrap for this webinar of ours. We hope you like the new version we have been working on, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. So have a great day, and we will see you soon in another webinar of MindPal. Goodbye.
Bye.